Everyone, it is Thursday, December 3rd, 2020, and our lesson for today is taking action to clear up confusion. Let's go ahead and get started. So, here on our slides, you'll always find the standards. I've been reading them in the other videos, and I will refrain from reading them from this video, but always make sure to go back and look at this, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started with our Ignite. So, as you dive deeper into your non-fiction Just Right books, we need to make sure that we are reading is making sense. So, readers, you all know that when you are reading fiction, right, which was like last quarter, okay, when you are reading fiction, you need to constantly make sure that the story is making sense, right? And you expect that the story makes sense. So when it didn't, right? So if you're reading along and you aren't sure what's happening or who's doing what, you know that's a sure sign, right, that you're confused and you need to do something to get the story back. Well, it's the same thing for reading nonfiction. You need to expect that nonfiction books will make sense. You should always be able to answer who or what the text is about and what's happening. If you can't, that's a sign that you might be confused. And you can't just stay confused. If you do, you won't learn much from the book. So, this is what we're going to be doing today. I want to teach you that every nonfiction reader gets confused sometimes. When that happens, readers don't just keep going. Instead, they pause and go back to the last part they understood, keeping track of what's happening as best they can. So, you should always go back and read as you are doing and trying to understand your nonfiction book. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So we're going to dive back into the nonfiction book Canada, right, with Ben. So Ben is going to show us a few locations around Canada. Let's try to make sense of all the information he is going to show us. All right, let's go ahead and read. So in this part, right, we're going to be reading about Vikings. Okay, so this is how it goes. It is our first day in Canada, and we've come to this is a little difficult for me to say as well. So it's Alanes Ox Meadows on the northern tip of Newfoundland. This is where a Viking, Leif Erikson, landed in around 1000 C. He was the first European to reach North America. I'm off to explore this Viking town. So Ben gets to explore this Viking town. It seems that Ericsson was probably the first Viking to ever land, right? Or at least recorded. Okay. All right. So we got to keep this information as we're going, right? Or we might get confused. So in this section, right, the next few pages, Ben is also traveling to another location. Let's go ahead and dive in. From Newfoundland, we headed to Lake Superior. At 31,700 square miles, right? It's the world's biggest freshwater lake. You can see how it got its name. It's one of the five Great Lakes on the border which the United States. Oh, okay, sorry. It's one of the five great states on the border with the United States. The others are Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. All right, so let's quickly move on, okay? This way, we're going to check for some understanding. So let's go back and make sure we understand everything. So, who is Leif Erikson, right? When did he land in North America? What did he do? What was he known for? In our discussion, right, try to answer at least those two questions. Who was Leif Erikson and what did he do? Next, what is the world's largest freshwater lake? How many Great Lakes are there? Can you name them? Remember, it's okay if you can't retain all this information. That is why we're always checking for understanding and rereading. So if you don't remember all of this information, you can always go back, right? Reread and check for understanding. That way you're not confused, right? So Lake Superior, right, is the largest freshwater lake. How many lakes are there? Right, there's five. And then can you name them, right? So always check for understanding as you are moving on through your nonfiction book. Once again, right, our goal is to check for understanding. We must always be absorbing the information we are receiving. In a more story like nonfiction book, you'll have different parts of information that you will have to keep track of. So in this type of reading, we are doing more informational nonfiction. So pick a nonfiction book that is just right for you. And when you do find that just right book, always ask questions such as who or what is this about? What is happening? So in your review, right, you should have your just right book. You should be spending, once again, at least 15 minutes a day reading your just right book. For your review, I want you to share 3 pieces of information that you found from your just right book. Next, explain those pieces of information uh, and why. So sorry. Explain those pieces of information and why they were important to you or the book. All right, that just about sums it up for our um, lesson for today. And I hope to see everybody soon. All right, adios.